Introduction. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to English with Friends. I'm Adam, and I'm so excited to share today's episode with you. Stories are a great way to learn English, expand your vocabulary, and enjoy a little adventure along the way. Today, I have a magical story about a little boy who discovers his inner strength and changes the world around him. So grab a cozy spot and let's dive into this enchanting tale. The Little Boy and the River of Dreams. In a quiet village surrounded by emerald green hills and crystal clear lakes, there lived a curious little boy named Kian. Kian was not like the other children in his village. While they spent their days running through the fields or helping their parents, Kian loved to sit by the river bank, watching the water flow. The river fascinated him. It sparkled in the sunlight, sang softly as it trickled over stones, and seemed to carry secrets from faraway lands. Every evening as the stars began to dot the sky, Ikin would tell his mother about the dreams he had while watching the river. One day, he said, his eyes wide with excitement, "I'll follow the river and discover where it leads. Maybe it flows to a magical kingdom." His mother laughed gently and kissed his forehead. "The world is full of wonders, my little dreamer. Just remember to be brave and kind on your journey." The call to adventure. One morning, as Kian sat by the river, he noticed something unusual. A small, shimmering fish swam near the surface, its scales glowing like tiny rainbows. The fish seemed to be struggling, caught in a tangle of reeds. Kian quickly waded into the cool water and freed the little creature. To his amazement, the fish spoke. "Thank you, kind boy," it said, its voice like a soft melody. "I am the guardian of the river, and you have shown great compassion. In return, I will grant you a gift, the courage to follow your dreams. But be warned, the journey will not be easy." Before Kian could respond, the fish disappeared in a burst of light, leaving behind a small glowing stone in Kian's hand. That night Kian couldn't sleep. He held the stone tightly, its warmth filling him with determination. The next morning he packed a small bag with bread, water, and his favorite sketchbook. He waved goodbye to his mother and began following the river, not knowing what lay ahead. The journey begins. Kian's journey was full of surprises. The river led him through lush forests where he met playful monkeys and colorful birds. He sketched each new sight in his book, capturing the magic of the world around him. But as the days passed, the journey grew harder. He faced steep cliffs, roaring waterfalls, and dark caves. Each time he felt like giving up, he would touch the glowing stone, and its warmth reminded him of the courage in his heart. One evening, Kian reached a desolate desert where the river seemed to vanish into the sand. Exhausted and thirsty, he sat down and began to cry. "Maybe I'm not brave enough for this journey," he thought. Just then, a soft breeze carried a whisper. "Remember, Kian, the river flows where dreams come alive." Kian wiped his tears and realized he needed to trust his instincts. He began digging into the sand where the river disappeared, and to his amazement, water bubbled up, forming a small spring. The river was still there, hidden but alive. The magical kingdom. After weeks of traveling, Kian finally reached the river's end. It opened into a vast, sparkling lake surrounded by towering crystal towers that shimmered like diamonds. This was the magical kingdom he had always dreamed of. As he stepped closer, he was greeted by the guardian of the river, now in the form of a radiant figure with flowing robes. "Welcome, Kian," the guardian said. "You have shown courage, kindness, and determination. These are the true marks of a hero. This kingdom is a place where dreamers like you can learn to bring magic into the world." For many months, Kian stayed in the kingdom, learning about the secrets of the river and the importance of protecting nature's wonders. But soon he began to miss his village and his mother. The guardian understood and gave Kian a vial of glowing water from the river. "Take this home," the guardian said. "It will remind your people to cherish their dreams and protect the beauty of the world." The return home. When Kian returned to his village, he was welcomed as a hero. He poured the glowing water into the village's fountain, and from that day on the water sparkled like stars, filling everyone who drank it with hope and inspiration. Kian shared his stories and sketches, teaching the villagers about the wonders he had seen and the lessons he had learned. The once quiet village became a place of joy, creativity, and dreams, all thanks to a little boy who dared to follow the river. After Kian returned to his village and poured the glowing water into the fountain, life began to flourish in ways no one could have imagined. The villagers felt more hopeful, creative, and united than ever before. The once dry fields became lush and green, the river sang louder, and even the sky seemed brighter. But with great blessings come great challenges. One night, as Kian sat by the glowing fountain sketching its beauty, an old traveler arrived at the village. His cloak was torn, his face weathered, but his eyes held a strange intensity. The traveler introduced himself as Alaric, a wandering historian. "I've heard tales of your magical fountain," Alaric said, his voice deep and mysterious. "But beware, young one. Magic like this is rare, and not everyone will want to use it for good." Kian felt a shiver run down his spine. "What do you mean?" Alaric leaned closer. "There are those who seek to steal the magic of the world and keep it for themselves. You must protect the spark you've brought to this village, for it is more powerful than you know." That night, Kian couldn't sleep. His dreams were filled with images of shadows creeping through the village, trying to snatch the light of the fountain. When he woke, he knew he had to act. The shadows arrive. A few days later, as the villagers celebrated their newfound happiness, a group of strangers arrived in the village. They claimed to be merchants, but their piercing eyes and harsh voices made Kian uneasy. They lingered near the fountain, whispering to one another and staring at its glowing water. Kian decided to keep watch. Late that night, he saw the strangers trying to scoop water from the fountain into dark vials. But as soon as the water touched their containers, it turned dull and lifeless. The strangers grew frustrated and began plotting aloud. "This boy must have a secret," one of them hissed. "If we can't take the water, we'll take him instead." Kian's heart pounded, but he remembered the courage the guardian of the river had given him. Quietly, he slipped away and ran to his mother's house. "We need to protect the fountain," he whispered. "The strangers want to take it for themselves." His mother nodded. "Gather the villagers. Together we are stronger." Uniting the village. By sunrise, Kian had told everyone in the village about the strangers' plans. Though some were frightened, most were inspired by Kian's bravery and agreed to help. They decided to set traps around the fountain and take turns keeping watch. That evening, when the strangers returned, they found the villagers standing united around the glowing fountain. "This magic belongs to no one person," Kian declared. "It is a gift for all of us to share, and we will not let you take it away." The strangers, realizing they were outnumbered, fled into the night, leaving the village in peace. A new mission. After the strangers were gone, Kian began to wonder, were there other villages that needed hope and magic like his? The glowing fountain had changed his home, but what about the rest of the world? He spoke to Alaric, the old historian, who smiled knowingly. The world is full of rivers, mountains, and forests waiting to be protected, Alaric said. If you're willing, you could be the one to carry the spark of hope to others. Kian didn't hesitate. With the villagers' blessings, he packed his bag once again, this time carrying a small vial of glowing water from the fountain. His mother hugged him tightly. Remember, my brave boy, she said, the greatest magic comes from kindness and courage. The journey to the City of Shadows. Kian's first destination was a distant city known as the City of Shadows. Alaric had told him that this once thriving place had fallen into despair. Its rivers were polluted, its skies dark, and its people hopeless. When Kian arrived, he was heartbroken to see the gray, lifeless streets. People shuffled by without smiles, their faces etched with sorrow. Kian went to the city's central square and poured a single drop of the glowing water into the dried-up fountain there. The transformation was immediate. The fountain bubbled to life, its water glowing softly and filling the square with light. People stopped in their tracks, their eyes widening in wonder. "What is this magic?" a child asked, her voice full of awe. Kian smiled. "It's a reminder that hope is never lost. Together we can bring life back to this city." The people of the City of Shadows began to work together, cleaning the streets, planting gardens, and repairing their homes. With each act of kindness and cooperation, the city grew brighter. The legend of the Spark Bearer. Word of Kian's journey spread far and wide. People began calling him the Spark Bearer, a boy who brought light and hope wherever he went. Villages, towns, and cities invited him to visit, each hoping to share in the magic of the glowing water. But Kian always reminded them, the real magic is in your hands. When people come together with kindness and courage, they can create their own light. Over the years, Kian's journey took him to the highest mountains, the deepest forests, and even across the seas. Everywhere he went, he left behind not just glowing water, but the belief that even the smallest spark could light up the darkest places. The Spark Bearer's new challenge. After Kian restored hope to the City of Shadows, his fame spread quickly. People from faraway lands wrote letters, pleading for him to visit their homes and share the magic of the glowing water. Although Kian felt proud to be helping others, he also began to feel the weight of responsibility. Could one boy truly help everyone? One evening, as Kian rested by a small campfire under a blanket of stars, he was visited by the guardian of the river. This time, the guardian appeared as a tall figure wrapped in shimmering silver light. "Kian," the guardian said, "your journey has only just begun. You have brought hope to many, but there is a greater challenge ahead. Far to the north lies a frozen wasteland called the Silent Kingdom. It was once a land of joy and music, but now it is trapped in endless winter. Its people have lost their voices, their dreams, and their warmth. They need your spark more than ever." Kian listened intently, though his heart filled with uncertainty. The Silent Kingdom sounded like a place of endless danger. Could he really succeed? The guardian placed a hand on his shoulder. "Remember, the true power of the spark lies not in its magic, but in the courage and kindness it inspires. Trust yourself, and you will find a way." With renewed determination, Kian packed his things and began his journey north. The journey to the Silent Kingdom. The road to the Silent Kingdom was harsh and unforgiving. The further north Kian traveled, the colder it became. The rivers froze, the trees disappeared, and the wind howled like a hungry beast. Yet Kian pressed on, clutching the glowing vial of water from his village fountain. Along the way, he encountered travelers fleeing the Silent Kingdom. "Turn back," they warned. "The cold is too fierce, and the people there are beyond saving." But Kian refused to give up. He remembered the guardian's words and the faces of the people he had already helped. Finally, after many weeks, Kian reached the edge of the Silent Kingdom. The sight before him was both breathtaking and heartbreaking. The land was covered in thick snow and ice, and the once vibrant towns were silent and gray. In the distance, a grand palace made entirely of ice loomed over the frozen land. The Silent People. As Kian entered the first village, he noticed something strange. The people moved slowly, as if they were sleepwalking. Their faces were pale and their eyes were empty, reflecting the endless winter around them. Kian approached an old man sitting by a frozen well. "Hello," Kian said softly. "I've come to help. Can you tell me what happened here?" The old man looked at Kian with weary eyes. "Long ago, this kingdom was filled with warmth and music, but the Ice Queen, who rules from the palace, grew jealous of the joy in our hearts. She cast a spell that silenced our voices and froze our dreams. Now we are trapped in this eternal winter." Kian's heart ached for the people of the Silent Kingdom. He knew he had to reach the Ice Queen's palace and confront her, but he also knew he couldn't do it alone. The journey to the palace. Kian began to gather allies among the villagers. At first they were hesitant, afraid of the Ice Queen's power, but Kian's courage and the soft glow of the vial inspired them. A young girl named Lyra, who had once been a singer, offered to guide Kian through the frozen forest to the palace. A blacksmith named Torin, whose forge had long been cold, agreed to craft tools to help them break through the ice. Slowly, the villagers began to believe that change was possible. As Kian and his newfound friends traveled closer to the palace, they faced many challenges. Giant ice wolves guarded the forests, icy winds threatened to blow them off course, and the snow was so deep it seemed impossible to cross. But each time they faced a challenge, Kian reminded them of the warmth they carried inside. Together, they found ways to outsmart the wolves, build shelter from the wind, and forge paths through the snow. The Ice Queen's Palace. When Kian and his friends finally reached the palace, they were awestruck by its beauty. The ice walls sparkled like diamonds, and the air was filled with a chilling silence. But they also felt the heavy weight of the Ice Queen's magic. Inside the palace, they found the Ice Queen sitting on a throne of frozen crystal. She was tall and regal, her eyes cold as the frost that surrounded her. "Who dares enter my palace?" she demanded, her voice echoing through the icy halls. Kian stepped forward, clutching the glowing vial. "I am Kian, the spark bearer. I've come to free the Silent Kingdom and return warmth to its people." The Ice Queen laughed, a sound as sharp as breaking ice. "You think your little spark can melt my winter? You are foolish, boy." But Kian stood firm. "Your winter has no power over those who carry hope and courage. The people of this kingdom are ready to reclaim their voices and their dreams." The Ice Queen rose from her throne, her icy magic swirling around her. The room grew colder, and Kian felt his strength begin to waver. But then he looked back at his friends, who stood united behind him. He remembered all the people he had helped, and he felt the warmth of their belief in him. With all his strength, Kian opened the vial and poured its glowing water onto the icy floor. The light spread quickly, melting the ice and filling the room with warmth. The Ice Queen's magic began to fade, and she let out a cry of despair. "No!" she shouted. "This cannot be!" The light grew brighter and brighter until the Ice Queen disappeared, leaving behind only a faint whisper of wind. The kingdom restored. As the Ice Queen's magic broke, the silent kingdom began to thaw. The snow melted, rivers flowed, and trees blossomed. The villagers regained their voices and their joy, singing songs that echoed through the land. Kian stood in the center of the palace, surrounded by his friends. He felt a deep sense of pride and gratitude. "You've done it, Kian," Lyra said, her voice filled with awe. "You've brought back the warmth." Kian smiled. "We did it together. The spark was always in all of us." And that's how Kian helped the Silent Kingdom find its voice again. What did you think of this follow-up to his journey? Let me know in the comments below. What would you do if you had a spark of magic to share with the world? Thank you for joining me for another story here on English with Friends. Stories like this not only entertain, but also help us learn and grow. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. See you next time, and remember, the spark of courage and kindness is always within you.